Hello, welcome to Would You Rather. This is the podcast where you choose one thing or the other. It's pretty self-explanatory. Please say hello to my guest today, Christie Grattan. It's Grattan? Grattan?
Grattan, Grattan,
Grattan? Grattan.
not
Okay, good.
Grattan, Gratton or Gratine, as I've had many times. But yeah, you got it bang on. Hello.
Oh, good. Excellent. Excellent. And our first international guest. Ooh.
Oh,
How are
now we
things
go.
over in Malaysia?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. We've got the spring equinox at the moment, so it's extremely hot. Um, so it's like 38 degrees because we're right by the equator.
Yeah.
So nothing to do with the moon and the sun and tides and heat. And
Do
as
you
you can
get
tell,
the
I'm
Sorry, do you get the change of time down there as well? Is that like
no.
no, it just stays the same?
Stays the same. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay,
So
yeah.
it's pretty much the same temperature every day. We get because it's tropical. It's very tropical climate. So a portion of the year we get slightly more rain than we do the rest of the year, but we get tropical downpours all year. So there's barely a noticeable difference. All I will say is like the last 2 weeks have just been that extra bit more toasty. Um, so yeah, I'm
Well,
lurking indoors.
it's not relented here in about a million years. It's like just rained every day for a million years. Um, so I don't know. We can swap if you want.
It's nice. It's nice to know some things haven't changed back in the UK. Some
Dog.
consistency.
Good. All right then. Yeah, Christy, I had this conversation with a couple of people now, but in terms of comedy, like, how would you describe yourself? Because I said I said that Travis was a open mic comedian, and he was like, oh, I'm not sure. And I said to Bilal and he said I wouldn't even consider myself a comedian. So I don't know what I'm saying to people now.
Yeah, I think comedian's good. I mean, I get paid for it, what I would describe as semi-regularly. So
Okay.
I, I think if you're getting paid semi-regularly, maybe you can use the word comedian, or maybe I can't use the word comedian because I haven't done one stand-up gig since I've moved to Malaysia. So
Oh my God.
I know. So I've had a, maybe I'm not a comedian at all. I'm a liar. No, yeah, no, I have to say it's been very nice. I could lie. I could lie and say, oh, I really missed it, but that would not be the case. Um, no, I love doing stand up. It's like one of my favorite things in the whole world to do. But I think, and I'm sure you have been in this situation, when you gig loads and loads and loads, you don't have time to write anything because you're
Mm.
gigging loads and loads and loads. So it becomes this sort of like cycle of when you gig loads, you feel like you're really sharp and you're on it. But I don't know how creative you can necessarily be. Whilst when I stop for a bit, like completely stop, I can then start writing new stuff and then go back out there with new stuff. I don't know, but I really have like an internal battle with doing the same thing. I mean, obviously it
I
comes out completely differently. The audience is different, but I have a real battle with doing the same thing for months at a time.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I get the same thing. I try to write as much as possible, but it's also when it's not your full-time gig, it's because you like my day pretty much consists of wake up at 6, go to work for 7 till 4, come home, have some food, and then rush off to a gig, and then get home at like 12 at night. So like, there's not much time for writing. So, like you say,
Yeah,
it's good to have that time off so that you can actually write something a bit different rather than doing the same set for the entire time that you've been doing. You get a good 10 and then you just do it. You milk that for 6 years.
yeah. Like, and I know it's good. You know, I think I've probably got somewhere between I don't know 40 minutes, an hour of material that I know is good. But you
Yeah.
can fall into that trap of going, oh, this audience haven't heard this before, so I'll roll this back out again. And for me, you know, I all my stuff's anecdotal, so like my actual life has moved on since I wrote those jokes. So I
Yeah.
kind of feel like a little bit of the authenticity. I sound like a right wanker now, but the kind of the place where I was when I wrote them. Like I'm nowhere near as angry about that particular thing that peed me
Yeah.
off that day, or the excitement of that thing that doesn't necessarily. So I like to let the entire previous show completely fall out of my head, and then I will start work on something completely different. Otherwise, I'm tempted to go, I'll throw that bit back in. I say this now. Come July, when I'm doing my new show, you might have heard all of it before.
It's also that I don't know. There's that what you were just saying. Like you want to do new stuff and you try your best to do new stuff, but then you'll do a few. I don't know. Sometimes I'll do a few new bits, and then I'll be like, "Oh, this isn't hitting as hard as I want it to," and then I'll do an old bit that I know that kills. But when it doesn't kill, it's like, "Oh God, I've just made myself feel terrible because I thought I was going to go better than it did."
I've sold myself cheap. I've sold myself cheap. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I've been there. So, I'll pull this golden oldie out the hat, and then nothing lands, and you go, maybe it wasn't the golden. The gold's
yeah,
rubbed off of that joke. Uh, yeah, it's interesting as well. It is. I always think you need to try a joke like probably 10 times, because I think people try it once, goes well, goes to another venue, doesn't go so well, goes to another venue, gets a weird reaction. I think
yeah,
you need some sort of rule of, you know, whatever you can get, whatever the average result is out of 10 goes at a joke. I think is where that joke should should stay. Because
yeah. I think you're probably right because you can't trust any one room. Like
no,
you can't
for
trust a
sure.
room full of just comedians, for example, because they're just thinking about what they're going to say, and you can't trust a room that are laughing at everything everyone says all night because it's like, well, I don't even know if that's a good joke now.
Yeah. What is the IQ of this audience? Anyone?
Yeah,
Anyone? Uh, yeah, no, it's an interesting mix, isn't it? I don't. I try and, as I say, my stuff's anecdotal, so I try and stay away from anything too political, because I think people have gone out for a night out, they don't want to hear it. But sometimes
yeah,
I might throw something that I think's a personal comment on something in, and sometimes it goes really well. Sometimes it's like wildfire, and the reaction is like, oh, okay. Um, but yeah, no, I think you definitely need to give it a few trots out before you either write it off or include it. I think you
Have you ever
definitely.
kept one that's not done well after the 10, but you really like it? So you're like, I need to have this in my set still because I enjoy it when I do it.
Um, yeah, and I'm not. Yeah, there's a joke I do about my irritable bowel syndrome, which is like I do this wordplay when I say I find people can be dismissive about stomach problems. They tend to just poo-poo it, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And that is usually your reaction is exactly what I usually get, right? Because I'm
yeah,
not I'm
yeah.
not really a punny comedian. I'm a storytelling comedian, but it just was like a sort of quippy thing when I was writing one night. I thought, oh, I'll stick that on, right? And that joke amuses me more than it ever will in any audience.
Yeah,
And I get that reaction. But then the good thing is that I can then play off that reaction. I go,
yeah,
oh, and then I can come back and say, I think that deserved better than that. And then I get a sec. It's kind of like a 3 second laugh and
yeah,
a half. Yeah, so stuff like that. I did some political stuff that was properly Marmite. Some audiences were like, whoa, and I thought it was turning into a bit of a rally, and I had to sort of calm people down. I was like, please don't stand up and cheer. And I've had uh, comments on social media platforms and people. The keyboard warriors come out, and then I think, oh, I've ruffled some feathers, so I've done my job as a comedian properly.
yeah,
Because I think
yeah,
you shouldn't stay, you shouldn't art, and I use the term art loosely to describe our chosen passion, should provoke. I think it should provoke. If you're sat between the lines doing, oh, who's got a mum, who's got a dad, oh, we all have been to school, hey, type comedy, I just don't think, it's like, no, I think some people need a nudge sometimes. So,
Yeah, they do say. Well, not I say they. Somebody told me this. I think it was Ryan Murphy said he also heard from somewhere that 50% of the audience should love you, 50% should hate you. But it seems like a lot of people hating me, which I don't know if I'd be able to deal with
Yeah,
that.
no, I don't think I necessarily agree with that. I think maybe 50% immediately agree with you and 50% laugh and then think about it. Maybe a better way
Yeah,
of
yeah.
doing that. But if you're getting paid, who cares? To be honest.
Well, yeah. If you're getting paid, then you've already gotten to a point where people think you're good enough to earn money doing the thing. So
Yeah, I think it's very easy to overanalyze. I think when you're a comedian, the worst thing I think you can do as a comedian is guess how something is going to go. I always say you haven't earned anything until you hear that first laugh.
yeah,
I think you can go up there thinking, look around the room, kind of assess the age. If they're people that are our age, people go, oh, I think like they're going to get this. They're going to get this. You go up there, can completely go the other way. You know.
yeah.
Um,
I've been there.
so
I've gone to places where it's not been going well the entire night, and I've been like, I'm gonna save this night. And I go up and just bomb horribly, and I'm like, oh gosh, it serves me right for being such an arrogant prick.
yeah, I will smash through the glass. I will bring this night out of them. Turns out they
Yeah,
didn't want the night brought out of them. You know.
yeah,
I always do find that really interesting because I think the amount of gigs I've been to, and touch wood, the percentage is now better than worse. But the amount of gigs I've been to that have been what I call like a dead room, and it says I think a lot about the resilience of the British people that they will sit through an evening of misery and not laugh for an hour, 2 hours sometimes, but they will stay. They will stay to the end and not laugh. So yeah, I don't know what that. I'm getting my money's worth for this. I'm not going to enjoy
yeah.
it, but I've paid for it. So um,
It is interesting as well because they choose to do that, and it's not like usually a bill has a lot of different people on it. Like a lot of different types of like types what people are going to joke about and things like that. And if they laugh at none of them, it's like, what do you want? What do you want?
yeah, we've given you something of everything here, and apparently everything is nothing to you. So what is it? What is it?
uh, okay, we should probably get on with the game, to be fair.
I'm excited by this.
Okay, okay, okay. All right, so first one, would you rather have sex with someone with no arms or no legs? I'm assuming it means have sex with someone with no legs and not just you wake up with no legs.
Yeah, I inferred that question. That's not two separate questions wedged together. For me, it would be no legs.
I I'm gonna have to go no legs as well, actually.
Easy, easy wrap around with no legs, and
Yeah,
they've still
yeah.
got arms and hands to do other things.
That's a good point. And harder for them to get away with no legs.
That is true, dependent on the predatory nature of what's gone before. Uh,
Yeah, sorry, I turned that immediately dark after a nice conversation about comedy. No, I just think no legs is like I don't know. You don't have to depend on their flexibility either with no legs, do you?
that's, I mean, playing devil's advocate. What's the perk with no arms?
Um, what is the perk of no arms? Because you can do way more with arms than you can with legs. Like I don't. Some people like feet. Not a big fan. I don't. I mean, they're okay, but I'm not like.
Oh, I suppose yeah. For the foot fetishists out there, they would opt for the legs, wouldn't they? They'd opt for that.
Yeah. I mean, a nice set of legs is more attractive than a nice set of arms
Yeah,
on a
I would
body.
agree with you there. I would agree with you
Yeah.
there. You know,
Um.
yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because you see these like artists that can paint with their feet and stuff. They're just amazing, and then the people in the
Yeah, I always think that's
Paralympics,
crazy. I
they're
always think that's
amazing.
crazy that they can do that and like. I mean, obviously they've trained to do it, but like I was talking to someone about the Paralympics the other day, and they send people that are disabled like up to the neck, down an icy hill at like 70 miles an hour, and I can't go down an icy hill at all. So like, and
I mean,
they can only
and I,
move this.
I mean, that's probably how they got into that mess in the first
Yeah,
place. So into
yeah.
a penny, into a pound, really. Uh,
If if you
you're
didn't,
85% of the way there. Carry on.
yeah, if you didn't, if it wasn't for medals and they were just pushing these people down hills, it'd be a bit cruel, wouldn't it?
It would be. We'd be looking at some sort of eugenics thing going on there. It's got a slight Nazi flavour to it. But yeah, I mean, those people that can do amazing things with just their legs, I'm sure sexually are extraordinary what they can do with their feet and legs. But if
I
I was
suppose.
just, yeah,
Sorry,
gun to
you
the
carry
head.
on.
Sorry, yeah, gun to the head, legs or arms. I'm keeping the arms.
Yeah, yeah, I think so as well. Although if they keep the arms, they're going to need to. They are going to. Same with the legs. They are like when I don't know. I made a point about legs a minute ago, but if you've got your arms, you're going to need to. Oh yeah, legs. You're going to need more flexibility. But if you've just got arms, then you're going to need to be working on that upper body strength for having sex. You know,
Yeah, it's going to be big guns, isn't it?
instead of doggy style, it'd be more like wheelbarrow style, wouldn't it? Lifting them up by the hips, just.
Yeah, but they're portable then, aren't they? You know, the phone rings, carry them across the kitchen, pop them on the counter, answer the phone.
Pop them on the counter. uh, yeah. Well, actually, how far off the leg as well? Because I'm a bum man, so if there's no bum involved, then I think I might have to
Oh
go
yeah,
no
I'm the same.
arms.
I'm all about
Yeah,
buttocks. So,
yeah.
well, yeah, I would, yeah. I mean, if we're saying no buttocks, then we're literally saying basically from the ribs down there is nothing. There is just a chasm, which would then imply there'd be no genitals, no openings, no orifice of any kind. So
Mm.
that's just necrophilia at that point, isn't it? Really?
There are probably people out there that live that existence.
And they need to go to therapy and look in the mirror.
I thought you were going to say something else. Um, okay, so we're going no legs, yeah?
No legs, no legs.
Okay. Right, I don't know again, I don't know if you've played this game before, but in the middle, like where it says or, when we click on one, it comes up with a percentage of people that agree with us.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
yeah, so I don't know what the percentage is going to be. 61% out of 14,000 people, 61% of people would have no legs. So we're in the majority there.
That's all right then. That's good. That feels
That's
my faith in humanity is momentarily restored.
I mean, I don't know if that necessarily makes us right, but just makes us more right than the other side. That's all.
Like that's all. That's all being right is, isn't it? Just percentages at the end of the day.
Yeah, yeah, I think you're right.
History is
Yeah,
written by the winners. Yeah.
good shout. Um, okay, next one. So, a theme you might understand about this is that all of these questions look like they've been written by like a 14-year-old. All right.
I'm getting flashbacks to like the rugby changing rooms at PE.
Yeah, yeah. Um, would you rather have a giant penis a, or have giant boobies?
Um, I could be a knob and say I've already got one of those, but I won't. I mean, I think It would be interesting as I don't have them to go for the breasticles. I think to go for the fun bags.
You think?
Just, just because as I'm as a guy, I already have a penis of variable length, depending on who you want to talk to. So,
Variable length. Yeah.
um, so I've never had boobs, professional boobs, um, not boobs, but boobs. So it'll be interesting to have them. Although, would they get in the way? I always think, would they
Yeah.
just, are they inconvenient? I mean, genuinely, I saw the chiropractor this morning because my back professionally is knackered. And I've heard that having big breasts, girls get bad backs, don't they, with big boobs?
That is true, yeah. Yeah, that's
So
what I've heard as
yeah,
well.
maybe I'll just stick to having professional dong. Um, you know,
With a variable sized penis though, like does it? Do you ever just like not even on erection or excitement? Like do you like do you just wake up one morning and you're like, oh, it's resting big today, you know?
yeah, it's loud and proud on occasion.
Yeah,
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 I think what have you got to shout about, eh?
yeah. You're the same dick from yesterday. What are you?
Yeah, have you won the
Don't think I
lottery,
don't
Mister
remember.
Ronaldo? Yeah,
Don't think I don't remember that heinous performance you put in last night.
you know you both let us down. Uh, don't look at me with that winky eye, acting all cocky.
uh,
They are
um,
anomalous. They are anomalous things. They do have a mind of their own. They really do.
yeah, they really do. I don't know what it is. I feel like mine's a different person sometimes because I'll just, I'll be enjoying my day and then suddenly it'll just poke its little head up and be like, "Time? Is it time?" And I'll be like, "No, what are you doing? We're we're, we're bringing flowers to a children's hospital. Fuck off." Uh,
It's like an eager mere, isn't it?
yeah,
Just
yeah.
pop it out, have a looking around, get back in the burrow. Come on.
Get back in there. Do you have so giant boobs? Do you like is there is there much of that on in Malaysia? Because I know in Thailand there's obviously ladyboys. Is that still a thing in Malaysia?
Not really so much. Not
No?
really. Um, no, the ladies tend to have been born ladies here. Um, yeah, you can go to certain areas and it's a bit more kind of what I call like Bangkoky, like
Yeah,
Bangkok light.
yeah.
Um, but in Kuala Lumpur, we've probably got like one street, which is like sexy prostitute street. But apart from
Oh,
that,
okay.
which I quite like, it's almost like they've taken. It's like well, we will have seediness, but we're going to condense it to one area. And if you want to do that, go to that one area and don't sully the rest of the areas with your filth. Um,
Yeah, I think that's not because everyone knows where to go then as well.
yeah, yeah, it's just full of European and Australian tourists. That's
Of course it is.
literally full, absolutely full. Um, just lots of bewildered white men not really knowing where to look and very excited by the exchange rate. That's what it is.
uh,
But
yeah,
yeah, no,
I don't,
it's very
I don't see the benefit of giant boobies either, unless I can get them like permanently like attached to my so I just constantly motorboat them. But other than that, can't see.
suffocated by yourself. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, for me it would be like useful. I don't know, in some sort. It depends on the size of them, how giant we're talking here. But we're talking kind of like riot shield, bullet shield, life jacket, sort of health and safety equipment. When it stops being aesthetic and starts being practical, uh, you know, then maybe. If you can attach a whistle to it when the plane goes down,
that's your definition of being a bit maybe a bit too huge, giant.
yeah, if like one nipple was a whistle and one had a light, that would be good, wouldn't it? And then you could just save yourself depending on your tits. Flare. You could keep a flare wedged in between the two of them as well.
Well, maybe it just says have. It doesn't mean, maybe it means like, Jack went up the beanstalk and he has to retrieve either a giant's penis or a couple of mammary glands.
That are just sat there, that are just
Yeah,
parked on the side.
yeah. Take him home, petrify him, live off of those because he was poor, wasn't he? He didn't have any food, so it'd probably
He was,
get a lot out of
yeah.
that.
He wasn't good at business anyway. He sold his cow for some beans. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, if it's between a giant's knob and some boobies, yeah, I
I
don't think.
reckon the boobies would taste better once cooked.
Yeah, I just all I can think of is like turkey Twizzlers at school in the '90s with a giant penis. Sort of. I don't know how aesthetically on a plate you could make that look anything other than a penis.
Yeah, that's true. Have you seen
Boobies, I think they look all right, but a penis on a plate, I don't know. You have to chop it up. I don't know. Rings, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. If somebody bought me some like sous vide boobies on a plate, I'd be like, yeah, that looks fucking fantastic. But if they bought me like deep fried penis, I'd be like, nah, can you just give it to the dog? Give it give it to the dog.
Sous vide boobies. They'd be like two blancmanges, wouldn't they? Just sort of sat wiggling on a plate. Deep fried penis. I mean, I've been to some dodgy chip shops in my time. So yeah, deep fried penis. Yeah, no, I think we'll go with the boobs. We'll go with the boobs.
Okay,
More
we'll go
titillating.
with the. We'll see what people say. We'll see if people agree with our. 65% of people agree with the boobs.
Oh, that's interesting. We're sticking with the masses here.
Yeah, I
I
feel
like that.
like I said, I feel like most of the questions come from teenage boys and are answered by teenage boys.
That have
So
never touched a boob or have a
yeah,
giant penis.
yeah, exactly. But like they found their penis when they were like 12, 13, and they're like, I've had enough of it. I just want to yank it off every second of the day. Just give me some boobs for
Give
once,
me some
please.
boobs. Yeah, the thing that I'm yanking it off too. I want them. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I can see why all the videos are made about them. Um, would you rather have someone living in your house, okay, or have no house? This is just stupid. Like,
I mean, this is like obviously blatantly obvious. So I think maybe we need to make the someone more challenging.
okay, um,
Like, would I rather have Putin in my house?
or have no house.
Um,
I feel like to be fair, I feel like Putin would be a good house guest.
I mean, he's quite small, um, allegedly very unwell. Uh,
Yeah,
just turn the air conditioning down. That'll probably finish him. No, yeah, I'd rather have someone living in my house than have no house.
even Putin.
Yeah, even Vladimir himself. You know, I'm sure he's got money siphoned off. If he lived with
Yeah,
you, I'm sure he could get in the will. You know, it would be yeah. I don't know who is the worst person that you would be willing to live with.
that's a tough one. Because I reckon that I lived with people at uni, and I think that Putin would be better to live with than them.
And I could not agree with you more. I'd take
Like he's
Putin
got
and Kim Jong Un over them.
yeah, yeah, just you three in a house. That'd be way better than the house I actually had.
The sort of dictator frat house.
Except they'd both be trying to like invade your room and take your resources.
Yeah, just different resources. Yeah.
Yeah. You'd have your name on your lunch in the fridge and it'd be gone. You'd be like, my fucking name was on it, and they'd be like, it belongs to the state, and just eating it.
I just come down. There'd be some fake news journalist sat there claiming that the lunch was consumed divinely by the true landlord of the house.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah, no, I'd definitely rather live with one of them than not have a home at all.
Yeah, I mean, being homeless doesn't look fun. Um, although,
It doesn't look fun. It looks like a roller coaster of other emotions if you walk up various high streets, but definitely not fun.
yeah, because otherwise they wouldn't ask for money, would they? They wouldn't be like, I'm having a great time right now, but if you just give me a fight, because you don't want to give anyone money that's having fun, do you?
No, although interestingly, I've found that dependent on where you go in the world, the behavior of the homeless people changes.
Okay.
So I found that homeless people in the UK, on the whole, tend to be quite reserved. You know, they'll usually be holding up a cardboard box with an army number on it, and they'll kind of stare at you with puppy dog eyes. Whilst when I was in the States, they'll shout at you. They'll sing at you. They'll run across the road at you. It's much more of a 3D live interactive performance from them. I'm not saying, one is better than the other or Britain needs to back up their ideas, but or it's possibly to do with the drugs that they're on. But it just was interesting that the etiquette, if that word is the case, of
the etiquette, the homeless etiquette is different.
Yeah, it was different. Yeah, maybe it's because British people tend to be more reserved than Americans in general, anyway. But
yeah, I think it's also like the tipping thing, isn't it?
It's expected that you stop on the street. It's expected.
Yeah. And if you don't, it's like, hey, how are these guys supposed to make any money? And it's like, I don't know.
So it's my fault that your basic wage doesn't support your lifestyle.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyway, I would rather have someone. I'd rather have a ruthless dictator live in my house than not have a house.
And that's a rule I intend to live by, quite frankly.
This is really going to be tested when Putin ends up coming to my door later.
Yeah, that's it. What was that show they used to do, like Wife Swap, except it'll be like Dictator Swap? Sam goes to live in the Kremlin and finds out state secrets. Meanwhile, Putin comes to an open mic comedy gig in Bournemouth.
Oh God, he'd probably be so much more successful because he'd go, "You don't laugh, you die."
Vladimir does a tight 10 and brings the house down, literally.
Yeah, go live in a house. 87% of people agree with that. It's kind of a no-brainer.
I thought that would have been higher. I'm really intrigued by the 13% of people that went, I don't want a house.
Yeah, well, those are the people that have managed to get hold of internet access for the day, because they have no house, and they're like, "Nah, this is way better than having anyone in my house." When I have a house, yeah. See that? I get that bit of cardboard all to myself. I wouldn't give that up for anyone. That's
interesting. The mind of the world.
Okay, right. Would you rather watch porn for 20 minutes with your mum, every day while fingering her, or watch porn with your dad for 20 minutes every day while he masturbates on you? I did this one with Ryan. I know what I choose, but I'm gonna give it over to you.
This is interesting. I probably have to receive my dad's jism.
Yeah.
Because the situation's already shameful. I might as well add to that shame. I certainly don't want to go poking around where I came out of. Put it that way.
It's just like checking the waters, make sure
I don't think there's much water left, but I certainly don't want to go, oh, this looks familiar.
I don't know. Maybe you'd poke around in there and be like, "Oh, this neighborhood's really gone downhill since I was here."
Since the other two just filed it after me. There's statistics on council estates in the UK, and it's always in the 70s. This was a bustling metropolitan hub with new design and loving families, and it cuts to it now, and it's being bulldozed, covered in graffiti. 4 bodies have been found there. Yeah, no, I definitely don't want to go back down memory lane. I'm quite happy to be spanked on by my father.
Yeah, me too. See, right, minus the sexual, the masturbating or the fingering. Which one would you go for?
Oh, who would I rather watch pornography with?
Yeah, for 20 minutes.
Interestingly, it probably would be my mum.
Right? Me too. #me too.
Yeah, because weirdly, my mum would be more uncomfortable than I would, so I would take some solace in that.
Yeah. I think my mum, if I watched it with my mum, we'd probably just laugh about it. We'd probably just joke about like what these people were doing. And then if I was with my dad, I couldn't guarantee that, you know, he's not masturbating, but I couldn't guarantee that he didn't have an erection. So, and I don't
Yeah,
want
yeah.
to.
There's at least hidden enjoyment there that none of us need. So
Yeah, just
yeah,
adding to the tension of the room. Yeah,
I'll stick to my mum trying to analyze the plot. Uh,
yeah, yeah.
where did that pizza man come from? Like, where? He hasn't even charged. What?
What? You
Why is
can't run
there
a
a ladder?
business. uh, uh, yeah, but then as soon as it turns into, yeah, because you can't, yeah, it's got to be your dad. And I don't know if he finishes on you. It just says he masturbates on you. So I guess he sits on you legs akimbo and then just just jerks it. Just
I
and then
guess it
you're
depends
there
on
like
his. I mean, if I had like a poncho that you'd wear at like SeaWorld, I mean, it doesn't matter. Does it? You could get the equipment. It's still on you. It doesn't have to actually be on you. One of those umbrella hats. So I'm aware that my light's gone out. One of those
gross.
umbrella hats, poncho. You could have a super soaker there, just ready to wipe down and start again. Yeah.
Okay, we'll go for our dads.
Okay, let's see what that is.
Let's see what it says. 57%, but
That's,
it's only out of almost 2,000. So lots of people saw it and skipped it, basically. Skipped the question because no one needs to answer that.
they just passed that.
Yeah, yeah. But that's not an option here on this podcast. We don't pass things. Um, would you rather have people think you're gay slash lesbian, but you're straight and they won't believe you're straight? Okay. Or have people think you're straight, but you're gay slash lesbian and they also won't believe it? I mean, I don't know. Well, does
I
it
mean,
matter?
I mean, no, my gut reaction is I've never given a shit what anyone thought anyway, so I don't
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
generally couldn't give a flying shit. But in the context of this question, if you're either way round, are you single or are you already with someone? Because if you're already with someone, then you care even less and people can think what they want. But if you're single, obviously you want to attract what you like. But if they think
Yeah.
you're the other way around, how do you then attract them?
Well, if interest exactly, and interestingly, if you are the other way around, so for instance, if you're straight but people think you're gay, lesbian, and you, you're not getting approached by what you like women, for example, how long before you're just like, okay, well, I'm getting approached by loads of gays, so all the women think I'm gay, so I'm just gonna be gay now. Do you know? Like how long can you say no to something that's just like, come on? And you just, at some point you just gotta be like, well, I need to come inside something, you know? And
Yeah, well,
and that
I think
grapefruit's not doing it.
yeah, and that melon really has gone off after the third time. So uh, yeah, well, I think that's a valid point because you've turned it into a positive there. Because I was going to say, well, I guess you just end up celibate forever and live a lonely, reverse closeted existence. But actually, I think if you're on an island and everyone thinks you're the other way around to what you are, I think you would just give in, wouldn't you? At the end of the day, we all have needs, and I think
Yeah.
and I think with the right lighting, uh,
Well, exactly. Yeah, pitch
those needs
black.
those needs can be met, can't they? So
I think
you know,
I'm with you. I feel like if there was one like I had this premise for a joke once, but it's a genuine thing. It's like if there was only one woman left on Earth, like you'd just be gay, wouldn't you? Like you'd like because there'd be loads of men, and you wouldn't be chasing after the one woman because she'd have her pick, and also she'd have more than one. There's no way she'd just have one, so she'd be a mess basically. And so, so she'd be a mess. So you just be gay with your mate. Just be like, okay, yeah, we'll be cool mates, and we'll just have bum sex now and again. And I think that
Well,
was
you'd have a
certainly
lot more
right.
options, that's for damn sure, than, one overly trodden path. You could forge many new ones. So yeah, I think my answer to this question is I couldn't give a toss either way around, to be honest.
Yeah, either way. Um, either way, you just make it. Do you reckon? Do you reckon? So we've just said if you're straight, like potentially, if everyone thought you were an island, you'd probably just go gay. Do you reckon get gay or lesbian people would do the same? Do you reckon like if everyone thought they were straight and they couldn't get it across that they were gay, they'd just be like, oh well, I guess I'll just be straight then.
Well, yeah, I just think, rather than buying a rubber one, you'd just find a man in the dark and have a bounce up and down, wouldn't you? Really, I just think,
It's a good point. Yeah, it's a good point.
I think it's the same difference, really. I think it's yeah, as long as people aren't deviating into like bestiality. Like,
Yeah, do you know what's weird is I think some people would deviate to that before they decide to be gay, which is definitely way worse, isn't it?
I'm
Like I
not
don't know.
gay, but I'll bang a dog. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
yeah.
It's so weird. Uh,
I think that when it comes to people, I don't think anything's off the table. I think the depravity of the human mind knows no
yeah,
bounds, particularly when it's
yeah, I
put
think you're
into a
right.
pressure situation. So, yeah, I think my answer to this would be I couldn't give a toss. I just find it so weird that people take umbrage with someone It's like such an odd thing to have an issue with someone about. Like, you know, homophobia I find just totally ridiculous. Why would you be angry with someone for something they've done with somebody else that's never involved you, never
Yeah, it is
concerned
weird.
you? It's such an odd thing to judge someone on.
Because of Jesus. That's why.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Gee.
Other religions are available. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
brackets,
I
cult.
don't know, man. No, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But like again, like this is like you're starting to see after the last few questions we've had that these are just written by 14-year-old. Well, people would,
Did you
if not
find
14, huh?
Yes, sorry. No, your point about 14-year-olds. Did you not find, right, that the boys in PE that were like, oh, you're gay, were the gayest, quote unquote, acting ones? Like, I remember during swimming, right, I was fortunate that my school had an indoor swimming pool. And you'd be in the changing rooms afterwards, and the ones that were like, oh, you're gay, would turn all the lights out. And they'd be the ones pulling boys' towels off and doing all sorts of things. Yet the ones that actually were gay and quite happy to just were getting on with enjoying their swimming, to be honest. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about 14-year-old boys that like they project, don't they? They project the thing that
Yeah.
they're dealing with onto other kids. I always found
Well,
that weird.
interesting. I watched Layer Cake last night. Have you seen that? Layer
Oh,
Cake.
that's a great film. Yeah, yeah,
And in it, there's a character in it, um, and they're talking about that character being gay, and then somebody's like, "Oh no, he wasn't gay. He always used to say, fucking women is for faggots." It's like, it's like what? That was his get around. He was like, "No, no, it's so stupid. It's so stupid. It's exactly what you've just said, pretty much. It's like the ones that say that people are gay are the gayest ones."
yeah, for
And then you
sure.
turn gay and you're like, no, no, that guy's not gay because it's a real because being an out gay is a real privilege, you know.
Yeah, it was really interesting. The guys at school that were gay, no one had any ammunition at them because they just go, "Oh, you're gay," and they go, "Yes, I am."
Yep.
Oh, okay. There goes my
Yeah.
ability to find
Yeah.
something different to insult me over, please. Thank you.
Doesn't quite work when you're like, oh, you're straight, does it? It's not like,
Yeah, it's just such a stupid thing to have a person. You know, people are awful in so many other ways other than where they park their genitals. You know,
yeah. But if you, there was a guy that we always used to accuse of like fingering his cat though, which,
isn't that weird? We had a guy at school like that.
and he
That
used
is
to
so.
hate it.
Where do those rumors start? Where do those rumors? I mean, this guy bought a new cat and was very emotionally attached to it, and so naturally, boys assume emotional attachment equals
Yeah.
fingering. But
Yeah. If you love
it's funny.
anything that's not football and lads, then it's,
It's fair game.
yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, either way, it doesn't really matter of this one. So I'm just gonna it. Yeah, 58% of people agreed with one of them. So it's pretty even. We touched on this a bit earlier. Would you rather tits or ass?
Would I rather
Mass
have
man.
them or play with
Oh,
them?
that's a good shout. That's a good shout. Have them. Let's go with have them.
I mean, I already have an arse,
Yeah.
so and you know, probably now developing tits as well. So uh, all coming up Millhouse. But in terms of what I'm, my eyes are zooming in on, usually it would be bottom.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
You
Me
know,
too.
as I always say with boobs, a handful is enough. Anything more is just greedy.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's like it's nice to have a good like have you seen Don't Mess with the Zohan?
Yes, a while ago, I think.
This big director wants to get all of the um what's it called? It talks about it's basically political satire about like what's going on right now in like Gaza and stuff. It's like that. It's like why can't we just get along? But fucking years ago when it happened last time, and it's done by Adam Sandler, and he and they basically get together and to fight against this guy who is trying to kick all of them out so that he can put like a massive mall in there, and then charge them loads of money to stay there and to rent the shops out there instead. And he's got like a trophy wife, and he's really proud of her, and he's like, and she's got the perfect ass to tit ratio, and that's his whole thing. And then in the end, like, there's a fire, and then the fire, uh, something ricochets out of the fire, and it pops her breasts, and they flatten down, and you hear like obviously like that, and then he just goes to his knees, and he's like, the ratio. That's his. That's his whole thing. That's his whole thing. But I was just gonna say, it's nice to have a good ratio. That's
Ratios are everything. Uh, Everyone's ratio is their own. Yeah,
that's a good. Yeah,
yeah,
that's a good point. Everyone likes a different ratio.
they do. They certainly do. Yeah, no, for me it would be arse rather than tits.
Yeah, I think this is a relatively quick one. Yeah, I'd go arse as well. Wow, most people prefer tits. Apparently, we're in the minority there.
For the first time in the whole game. That does
Christ.
surprise me. And I feel like if this was written by 14-year-old boys, that's like the safe bet, isn't it? Of like, oh, everyone loves boobs. You like bums.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I don't. I think that I'm gonna describe that as a false statistic. I'm gonna throw that out there.
Imagine if
47%.
boobs were well, imagine if boobs were like bums though, in the like in the middle of a pair of boobs there was a hole that shit came out of.
It'd be like a vomiting butterfly, wouldn't it? It would be very odd. Yeah. Well, apparently, I read some. Did I read it, or I may have read this in a dream. That's how I'm going to cover myself. Um, that the reason we like bottoms is some sort of similarity between bottoms and breasts to do with evolution or something. That
Oh,
the
really?
attraction
Okay.
to
Oh,
yeah, it's meant to remind us of something.
in fact, I think I've heard something similar, like bums and hips are like, I don't know, people think that if they're wider, you're better childbirthing hips or something like that.
This has gone down a very medieval route, hasn't it?
Hasn't it? Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not good breeding hips.
It's still pushing that narrative. Like, yes, you have. Used to be a nice compliment though, and nowadays I don't think people would take to that too kindly.
Yeah, rocking up into club and saying, "What a mighty pair of hips you've got on you. Let's do this." Beg your pardon?
You wouldn't find it hard at all to push a baby out of those.
Those hips don't lie. Come on.
uh, okay. Would you rather have a date with Donald Trump or have a date with David Cameron? Political.
Um, that is a good question. I feel I went to university with a lot of people that are like David Cameron.
Yeah.
So I feel like I've already been on a date with David Cameron. Um, uh, I mean, Trump's got more money than Cameron.
Yeah, but he's definitely going to expect a fuck on the first date.
Um, I mean, my life goal is to see what is under that hair. So for
Yeah.
me, that would be, I'd be willing to go on the date with Donald if at the end of the date he lifted up the comb over and I could see the third eye or the whatever was lurking underneath. Like Voldemort on the back of Quirrell's head. Whatever's in there. Whilst,
Uh,
to have a date with David Cameron, I'd have to go to a butcher's shop because, as far as I'm aware, he likes to put things in pigs' heads. So, yeah, I think I'd rather go to Mar-a-Lago than a butcher's shop. So I would go with Big Donald. I think.
I think I might go with Big Donald as well because I feel like, regardless of how you feel about him, I feel like he'd be quite funny. I feel like he'd be.
I do think he would. I mean, David Cameron, seems to be, for all his faults, quite a semi-intelligent person. Could probably talk about, interesting things like tax evasion. But I think that Donald will be more entertaining.
Yeah, and Donald would be able to talk about tax evasion, but it would still be funny.
Yeah, and it would be bigger
Yeah,
tax,
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
more tax. I think what will be interesting with Donald. I think Donald to me looks like he'd be quite a lightweight. I think if you got Donald like a few gin and lemonades, he would start telling you, state secrets. You
yeah.
know
That would
what's
be
going
that
on,
would be very interesting as well, wouldn't it?
what's going on in Roswell. Where
Yeah,
are the aliens? That's all I'd want to know. I'd just probe him on alien stuff.
and Donald wants to be seen as the best, so he would give up the information because he's like, well, nobody else knows this stuff except me. I've seen it, so
Yeah, he
pretty
could tell you
good.
tell you all the truth about Epstein's Island. He's got a lot more material you could get out of him.
Yeah,
Whilst Cameron would just tell you, who buggered him at Eton and
yeah,
things like that. We don't, we've moved past those questions. So,
yeah. We know it was everyone. So
yeah. So yeah, I'd have a date with Donald.
yeah, I think I'd go on a date with Donald as well. Right, let's check. Let's see what they've said. I don't know if I imagine this is. I mean, it's co.uk, so I imagine most people know who David Cameron is, but I don't know if the world do they? Because like we're not really reported on that much of our politics and stuff like that.
I think more than you probably would think. I mean,
Yeah.
Cameron's now back in the cabinet, isn't he? He's Lord Cameron now. So
Ugh, they
yeah,
gave him a lordship, did they?
in order to shoehorn him back into government, that's exactly what they did. Yeah.
Okay, now. Okay, all right. Donald Trump it is then. So that. Wow, 36% in the minority again. Phew.
Yeah. What I love is that it would appear that the people cannot spell the word cannot on the next question.
Canute.
We,
It's
we
Canute, isn't
cannot
it?
spell cannot. Yeah, cannot. We cannot eat. Cannot sleep.
They're 14-year-olds, man. 14-year-olds.
Oh, that's an
Uh,
interesting one.
I'd go for eat.
I'm with you on eat. I can go whole days without eating sometimes. If I'm busy, if I am writing, and usually it's a bit like a tap, and so it all just comes pouring out, and I'm busy in my own world doing things, and when you're going from gig to gig, eating is the last thing that happens.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I can't actually eat before a gig either.
I was just about
I'm
to say, yeah.
instantly hungry after a gig, but before a gig, the thought of being all sleepy and on stage is just the worst. So yeah, whilst if I'm sleep deprived, I just turn into the devil himself. So yeah, eat.
Everything you've just said, I 100% agree with. How long was it before you realized that eating before you go on stage is like sometimes I'll see comedians have like a full meal before they go on stage. And I'm like, oh God, what are you doing?
It's the worst, isn't it? When you're in a green room backstage and there's some guy that's dragged 3 tons of KFC in the bag and they're just chowing down, and you're like, that's going to repeat. It's going to repeat badly. Um,
Yeah.
Me, well, I don't drink. Well, I don't really drink anymore at all. But I don't drink, and I see comedians banging drinks back before they go on stage, and
Yeah, I'm exactly the same.
they're never good. They're never good. Like, yeah, a
I
pint, maybe, settle the nerves, a pint maybe. I mean, I don't drink, didn't drink beer when I did drink anyway, but I've seen acts that I think are brilliant, and then for whatever reason they've had a bad day or something's got in their head or whatever, and they'll down, 6 pack or be knocking, spirits back, and then it's just a shambles on stage. The
Yeah,
timing goes. I find that comedians that get really drunk, there's few that could do it. Like Johnny Vegas was very good when he used to
yeah,
get very hammered on stage, but that was sort of the act, and it was a bit chaotic and a bit messy. But comedians that I know have pre-rehearsed solid material, and I've seen them drink, and I think, what are you doing? You're just like
yeah,
setting fire to your time. Like, what are you doing? And then when you're drunk, you think you're a lot funnier than you are anyway. So you go up with this false sense of security. Yeah, early days of gigging, I used to have a couple before I went on, and I always found I never really needed them. It was a complete placebo, and then I was
yeah.
all over the place.
And literally everything you just said is 100% my experience as well. It's like I you early days used to have a couple to settle my nerves, and then I didn't get as nervous anymore, and then I realized that me drinking before I went on stage actually made me worse, and I was like, I'm not. Why am I doing this? This is the stupidest thing.
I also think, yeah, no, I agree. I think it's also like a synthetic high. Like gigging is such a massive high. Like I struggle to
Yeah,
sleep after I gig,
yeah,
so that's a whole other issue in terms of trying to get that sleep back because I'm so buzzed that going up and drinking and gigging, the alcohol kind of takes away the real
yeah,
high because you've already got a bit of a buzz on. So yeah, no, I would much rather go without eating than sleeping. The world would be a
yeah.
thinner place if more people uh, adopted the comedian's mentality of getting through the day without. You need to eat a lot less than most people think they need to eat.
Yeah,
Put it that.
yeah. I do the 1 meal a day thing. So I fast all day and then I'll just have one meal. It's a big meal, don't get me wrong, but it's not like I'll just have that and then I'll have nothing for the rest of the day.
Yeah,
And
I
that
think
usually
that's good.
sorts me out.
It's Ramadan in Malaysia at the moment, and my other half she's doing Ramadan, so I've kind of done Ramadan sympathy
Oh, okay.
Ramadan, and oh my god, I no longer look like a pregnant man. I feel so much better. I've got so much more energy. Brain
Yeah.
is clearer. Yeah, you'd be surprised at what you can do. Fasting is so good for you, but yeah, no, definitely couldn't eat rather than
Couldn't eat.
sleep.
Let's have a look. See who would go with couldn't eat.
There we
Wow,
go.
we're in the minority again.
That's because the UK is full of fatties.
Okay. Would you rather fuck your BFGF for 10 hours straight? Oh God. Or do anal with your BFGF for 2 hours straight? Oh, what? What?
Oh, this is the most ridiculous question I've ever been asked in my life.
This is a question asked by somebody that's never had sex, basically.
It is. This is like a 13-year-old boy who's bored in a geography lesson has filled this question in.
And when I came on earlier and wrote it, I was like, this makes perfect sense.
Under an alias.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest with you, both of them seem like a lot of effort.
Oh, God.
There's going to be a
And
lot of
sore.
chasing.
Yeah,
Lot of
oh my
chasing.
God.
I go back to my back issues.
I feel like anal just because it's less time. I mean, as long
Yeah,
as they douche before.
if it's purely based on time, then I'm going up the rocky road. Yeah, for me, this
Yeah.
question comes down to things I could also be doing. And so I'm going to go for 2 hours, up the Harris,
Yeah.
jobs are good. And thing is, it doesn't have to be, in a way, it doesn't have to be that strenuous, could it? Because what you could do, if you're doing anal, she's or he's got their laptop out, and you could just be quietly plodding away, both of you watching what you're doing. You could then rest your laptop on their back, and both of you get your emails done, get your work done, order the home delivery shop. Yeah, I'm going to go with anal due to the practicalities of that.
Yeah. It's so long. It's such a long time. It's like, I don't know, like imagine just going into work and then they'll be like, "Oh, what did you get up to on the weekend?" And you're like, "I had sex." And they'll be like, "Oh yeah, but what after that?" And you're like, "No, I had sex. That was what I did all weekend."
But people
Yeah,
do
but
that, don't they? They do like tantric sex, which is meant to
is that
last for like hours and hours and hours and hours. Yeah,
sounds awful.
it's meant to be. Yeah, it's meant to be like delaying the orgasm for you and your partner. Are meant to just. I want to know at what point does it stop being sex and does it start being Tetris? Because that's effectively it's just parking, isn't it? At that
Yeah.
point.
Oh, fucking hell.
Uh,
Do you know, Mormons, obviously are like in their faith, they're not allowed to have sex before marriage, but so they do this thing called soaking, where the guy will just, it's only considered sex if there's a repeated, in and out. So what they do is they'll get erect and then they'll just put it in and then just leave it and rest there for a certain certain amount of time.
well, they
And
would
then
love
when
this
they
question.
and then when they're done, they'll just pull out and be like, that was fun.
I think a lot of people would soak if they could, to be honest.
Just put it in and just be like, yep, that's it. That's it.
That's that work done. We've moved from A to B. Done.
Uh,
Yeah,
oh
I
yeah,
would
I had
go.
this. Sorry, I was gonna say I had this discussion the other day, on one of my videos I did, and somebody put up something like, I would edge to completion. Do you know what edging is?
Yes, I do know what that
Yeah,
is.
they were like, I would edge to completion. But my question was, can you edge to completion? Surely the idea of edging is that you don't complete.
That's why you're on the edge. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then they were like, no, it's just edging until you complete. And I was like, yeah, that's just wanking then, isn't it? Like, what are you talking about? What is this guy
That's just
talking about?
what everyone does. You fool. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No,
No one just touches it.
no. I think for this question it would be the anal,
Yeah, yeah, let's go anal.
based on time commitments.
Oh shit, it just disappeared. Well, we don't get that one because. Oh, no, we do. Wait. I
Well,
was just
we
come up
get
with pictures now.
we
We
get
get pictures now.
pictures. This is
Uh,
what I'm loving. I'm loving the picture. just to show what these body parts are, we've got that picture and then just a generic picture of a woman.
Yeah, yeah. You'll know that for actually, they're not going to look that fresh after the hours of work put in. That's for sure.
No, this is definitely while they were in the shop buying that underwear, not ever during any interaction. No, yeah.
Right, anal. Yeah, 62% of people agree with us.
Yeah, I'm with that.
Back in the majority, which feels good.
What I'm loving now is the
Just
questions change, but the pictures. Oh, there we go. Okay.
there we go. I got rid of the pictures. Um, would you rather meet someone that goes into prison or meet someone that is highly overweight? I'm assuming they mean romantically.
Right. Okay. The same person that can't spell can't spell prison either, apparently. But meet someone that goes into prison or meet someone that's highly overweight. Well, this is an interesting one, isn't it?
I feel like
Could
if
they have
you've
gone?
met, sorry, you go.
No, yeah, I was going to say, does it matter what they've gone into prison for? Because they could be absolutely stunning and then get like refused to pay a parking ticket.
You go to prison for that.
Well, I think like if you're no, I mean you're fined, aren't you? But like if I suppose if you refuse to pay like 100 parking tickets,
Mm.
and then you probably go in for what, like, I don't know, let's say a nominal sentence of like 1 month or something, like 30 days custodial sentence.
That's a good point.
That's not too bad, is it?
Yeah, no, that isn't bad. That's so when if we say highly overweight, I've got to think that we've got to put the same sort of gravitas on the prison sentence. Do you know what I mean? It's got to be a bit longer than like a month because you can't be like, oh, a really fit person's got to go to prison for 1 day just as a taster, and then be like, and then someone that's just 500 pounds.
Yeah, we need to find some common ground here.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
okay, yeah. So if it was like a murderer,
Yeah.
but she was beautiful. Um,
It does. It does. Well, yeah, no. Yeah, it does make a difference, doesn't it?
so there's a lot about the human mind and what a man's willing to forgive, doesn't it? She slaughtered 25 people in a horrendous terrorist attack. Oh, but my God, look at the
Yeah.
legs.
Yeah. Does she get conjugal visits or?
Yeah, yeah. That also says a lot about me that I'm still veering towards prison, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, like it takes. Also, you can take the like if she had killed 25 people, it means that she is good at planning. She does what she says she's gonna do. Um, whereas if you're like 500 pounds, like you might have a nice personality, but you've really you've really let everyone down.
Except for your local takeaways who are doing a roaring trade.
That's right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's right.
Call it community service. Yeah, I mean, me personally, I'm attracted to someone who's confident and looking after themselves and being, you know, healthy and wanting to, uh, you know, there's no bollocks to it. If I met someone that was highly overweight, I'd be thinking there's a lot of problems going on there.
Yeah, there has to be, doesn't there?
Oh, it's a
There's
lot
no
of
one.
psychological issues there.
Well, they
And don't
both
talk,
have
don't
psychological
talk to me about,
issues.
yeah, don't talk to me about glands, all you people, all you big bones people out there. you know, uh,
uh,
yeah, you're right. They do both have psychological issues.
it's just what you're prepared to put up with, and
It says meet someone that goes into prison. It's not meet someone that then comes out of prison. So you could be having a great time with them. You then find out they've murdered 20 people. Okay, goodbye. You've gone into prison now. I've still met them. We had a great time. They're now in
that's a good
prison.
point.
Bye bye. No, I'm not going to send you a love letter. I can't, I can't find a biro. You know, it's yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think still, if we're going by the idea that highly overweight means like 300 £500, then
yeah.
yeah.
They're having to be cut out of their house. If fire and rescue have to come round every time you want to go out somewhere for dinner,
Yeah. I think
it's a no. You
Louis
know,
CK does a bit on it, and he's like when fat people go to get an MRI, they send them to the zoo. And he's like, imagine that on a prescription. And he's like, just you get a prescription from your doctor, and it just says the zoo.
I was talking to someone not that long ago, and they were telling me that they'd put off where they were going to go on their honeymoon. And I said, "Oh, why? Why is that?" And they said, "Oh, and they've been really, really, looking forward to their honeymoon, and they were going to go to America for their honeymoon." I said, "Oh, why?" I said, "Oh, I'm not going." I'm because I'm like a dog with a bone. I thought I'm not going to let this go. I want a concrete answer from this person. Um, and the long and short of it was, well, I should say, not the long and short of it, but the round and fat of it was that this person was too big for the seat on the aeroplane.
Oh my
And
God.
they'd only just realised this. So like as it got closer to the honeymoon date and they were going to book, they then realised that they would have to have booked multiple seats to accommodate this individual for a long haul
Oh,
flight.
Jesus.
And I
That's
just think
just embarrassing.
when you're that big that public transport becomes more expensive, you know, do something about it.
Yeah, that's rough, man. But that's where all the
It was what
mental issues come in, isn't
uh,
it? It's like, oh my God.
it was the acceptance really. That was the sad thing, is it was they'd kind of accepted their fate.
Well, they just decided, oh, we're just not gonna try and lose
Yes,
weight so we can go away.
yeah, no, no. So they
Just spend just spend the honeymoon budget on food.
they did all you can eat buffet.
Oh, excellent. Okay. Right, prison. Prison it is. 50-50 that one.
Oh
But then we did like I don't think everyone else made the scenario that we made, to be honest with you.
no, I'm impressed with the background we're giving these because we're not working with much. To be fair,
No, no, no. It does need more, that's for sure. Um, would you rather have sex with a person you love or be famous?
I think you'd have to be a cold-hearted bastard to choose be famous, wouldn't you? Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really understand the being famous for the sake of being famous. Anyway, why would you want to have your privacy continually invaded? Continually, I get it if it's the work. When I look at actors I admire, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Jason Isaacs, Marlon Brando, all these like classic Hollywood actors. They were famous because they were good at what they did.
Yeah.
They had something to give. They were creating something worth watching, and the fame is a byproduct of that. Even like famous comics that we all like and admire, but none of them really enjoyed being famous. That they enjoyed the money. Don't get me wrong. If that rich is something else, but the fame thing, I think the novelty of that potentially would wear off fairly quick. Yeah, you might get a nice seat in a restaurant. Yeah, people may stop you on the street, but after like a month of that, when does that become old? You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think if fame is the only thing you're holding on to, then I think you must be quite hollow as a person, really.
Yeah. And also I feel like like everything you just said I agree with, and I feel like famous for being famous is like it's almost like a you want notoriety for no reason, and it's partly because you want that love generally anyway. And when with the other person you've already got it, and you get to have sex with them, which is like top tier
Yeah,
stuff. So,
yeah,
you know.
yes, yeah. Having sex with someone that actually likes you. I mean,
Yeah.
what could be better? And that's the other thing with
No.
fame, is you might get, Fanny or Willie on tap, but
Mm.
are they having it with you because they like you or because they want to try and get something from you?
Well, that's it, isn't it? It's like the different. I guess it's the difference between fucking and making sweet, passionate love.
It's certainly the difference from soaking. Um,
Yeah. Go have a bit of a famous soak.
I might pitch that to my other half and see what she says. Fancy a soak today.
You fancy a soak,
She'll be like,
You
should
want
I
to
run
just...
the bath or no, no, no,
I'm trying to turn this into a pickle.
no.
Um, yeah, man. Do you know what the weird thing is that when we do this, that I know it's actually probably gonna be very close, like in terms of percentage wise. I don't.
And again, my faith in humanity diminishing question by question.
Uh,
If this is written by the demographic we think it is, and it's people that sit on TikTok all day thinking that moaning about your shitty relationship that no one gives a toss about is going to make you
yeah,
famous. Have you found that, right? So I'm rubbish with social media, really. And I'm now on the TikTok, but I end up down these weird. Why have I ended up down like a load of like single mums algorithms telling me how great their life is without their baby's dad? And wow, I never would Google. Why am I there? Why can't I get out of here?
it's just the algorithm, man. It's just the algorithm. I don't know how it gets it. Like I'm down a hole of um basically that it'll be one of two things. It'll be like men talking about why they don't like women and why women get away with everything, blah blah blah. And then it'll be women talking about how they hate men and why men are the worst. And I'll be like, why is this here? Like both of you people are the problem. That's
Yeah,
both of
I
you.
don't get it. Like I have like maybe like comedy friends will pop up from time to time when they're posting content, and then now I have a parrot. I thought, oh, I'll get some nice parroty content and look up,
Oh yeah.
you know, how to train my bird, etc., etc. And yet, no, Kaylee from Slough, who's been dumped by Darren and found out he's banging a 14-year-old in the car park of Argos, still
Oh.
comes to the top of my feed. And the sad thing is I end up invested in her tawdry story. I'm like, oh, episode 4 of how Kaylee found out that Darren was cheating.
uh,
I'm there. You go, girl. Why have I ended up there? So I've had to come. I've had to actually, unless I post on there now, I can't. I have to be a content creator rather than a content consumer because I
yeah.
can't do it. I actually feel my like frontal cortex of my brain getting smaller.
Yeah.
So I've had to step away.
It's so weird. Like people on the social media as well always come across like they're gurus, and it's like, and I just watch it. And I'm like, you don't know anything. What are you talking about? What are you
I'm like,
talking about?
you're in your mum's spare room and you're 48. Like, what do you know?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
Telling you
no,
how to run your
no,
life. I don't know, man. Um, but yeah, it's gotta be sex with someone that you love.
absolutely. I'm
Yeah.
intrigued by the percentage of this.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Let's check it out. Oh, oh, okay, we're in the
Oh,
majority, but it's
yeah,
still
but
surprising.
only just. That is
Yeah.
shocking.
Out of almost 10,000 people.
That is shocking.
Um, would you rather have your life taken over by robots or have to live in solitary confinement for the rest of your life?
So I'm an extrovert. So the thought of being locked up, like, don't get me wrong, I like my own space, but I also, once I've had some time on my own, then get recharged by being around other humans. So
Yeah.
the thought of being in solitary that would kill me. That would be the death. But then the life taken over by robots, are there still humans? And are the
That's what I
robots just
mean.
doing?
Yeah, I
Because
don't know.
a robot's not a person, so that's effectively solitary confinement anyway. If the rest of the world is now robot,
That's a good shout.
but if it's like
That's,
robots doing, ironing, cooking, washing, cleaning, then I'm all for that.
again, I don't think it can be live in solitary confinement or have robots go to your every need. Like it's just
Or
too.
is,
It's just.
so the have your life taken over by robots? Are we talking like Terminator Judgment Day? Is that what we're looking at here?
Yeah, I think that's probably.
Is it Skynet?
Yeah, let's go with Skynet. Let's go with Skynet.
Well, then we'd all be huddling together in the nuclear bunker anyway, wouldn't we?
Which should suit you,
We
being
could
the
sing
extrovert.
campfire songs.
Yeah.
So, yeah, before we were eradicated from the face of the earth, I'd probably go for at least it'd be interesting, wouldn't it? The mass
Yeah, I
genocide of the
suppose.
human race, horrible but interesting. Whilst solitary confinement, I don't sound there's anything interesting about that.
Yeah, that's true. It's like, that would send you insane as well, solitary confinement.
I just would need to hear another living thing. I just couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. So yeah, I would rather be oppressed living in nuclear Armageddon fear bunker, but with a couple of jolly peeps, than
Yeah.
living a palatial life on my own.
Because what's the worst thing about being taken over by, robots and Judgment Day? It's just that you die, isn't it? Once you're dead, you're dead. So
Yeah,
you might as well spend it with people before you die rather than just being solitary for the rest of your life and then just be alone your entire life and then just die alone rather than the other
yeah.
thing where you just get shot by a robot. Yeah, I'm with you.
So they didn't even put Napoleon in solitary confinement. They sent him to an island on his own, but he had a load of other people with him. So yeah, I'm going with the robots.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see what they say. 64%.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think we'll make this the last one. But this one's
Okay. I think,
actually
I think we're,
interesting as
we're
well.
ending we're ending on a high here as well. I feel.
Yeah, I think so as well. Um, would you rather fight 100 honey badgers with a flick knife or fight an elephant with a chainsaw?
Just to confirm, the weapons we have the weapons, or the animals have the weapons.
Yeah. I think it means we have the weapons. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I'd probably go for the elephant. Honey badgers are evil.
Hmm.
They're pretty like they will take on lions, leopards, hyenas. They will take them on. If there's 100 of them, that's a pretty formidable army right there. And they can
They could take
climb and
they
they
could
can
take a whole
build.
city if there were 100 of them.
Yeah, that would be it. That would be the downfall of the human race, the honey badger army.
Yeah, you think it's robots? It's not. It's honey badgers.
I feel like you and me need to make like a really funny B movie about the honey badger takeover.
That
I
would
don't
be
know.
funny.
Have you ever seen Zombeaver?
No,
Look it up. It's a B
I'll
movie
look it
about
up.
zombie beavers, and
I'm just gonna write it down.
really good. But like the production values are really good. So they've got they use animatronic. Basically, it starts off like a teen movie. So these kids go to this cabin in the woods, and then some toxic waste goes into the river and turns the beavers into zombie feral beavers, and they try and kill all the people. But yeah, very very funny. But no, I would go for the elephant with the chainsaw because I think first of all the chainsaw is going to cut through the tusks,
Yeah,
and then if you cut the trunk off, that's going to be a bloody mess. And I think
yeah.
at that point it would stop coming because once it's lost its tusks and its trunk, it's just a big face, isn't it? Then like what?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just ears, isn't it? It's just ears and legs at that point. So
It's just a big face. Yeah. Um. Yeah. I think I agree. I think I'd go for that as well. I feel like you'd still have to almost sneak up on the elephant. I feel like it'd be if it was like a one-on-one, it'd still be difficult to do, but I don't think it would be any easier trying to fight 100 honey badgers with a flick knife.
No, I mean they'd just be all over you. It would be
Yeah.
carnage. It would be. I think, or the elephant for me was if it's charging at you, you kind of do like a sort of Tom Cruise slide like under the legs with the chainsaw, and then you
Yeah.
like you're losing some of the height of the elephant. The elephant's then down. So
Yeah. I guess I
yeah,
think that is its main. It is its main thing. And the honey badger, like you said, starts at the ankles, but like they're vicious. Like 100 of it. How many honey badgers do you think you would successfully be able to get before you were overwhelmed? I reckon if you're lucky, you'll get one.
I think half a one probably.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Yeah.
and honey badgers are notorious for going for your testicles.
Oh
So
yeah. Little
you're
bastards.
down. You're immediately down. I mean, what's the point in living without testicles? So you're down. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd just flick knife myself. I'd be like, don't worry, guys, I'll do the rest.
Yeah. Thank God they gave me this flip knife. Yeah.
Yeah. Just like the instructions on it are for personal use. Oh, I see. In case of honey badger attack, use this on yourself.
Break glass. Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. You gotta fight the elephant. Plus, imagine I mean you would get more props for beating the honey badgers, but
I think the
and
elephant
you'd
would be
be
quite
able
a
to
dramatic death. You take the front legs out, it goes down, it then just nosedives the ground. And then you just chop your way through, don't you, really?
yeah. And you gotta it depends how success like how you'd have to use your agility, but I don't know how agile I would be if I was carrying a chainsaw. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you'd have to be stationary and just
Yeah.
lunge.
Yeah, chainsaws are dangerous as well. But then what if the what if the elephant just goes for your balls as well?
It's if the balls are gone, it's over on both counts, quite frankly. Then
Yeah,
you use
yeah.
the chainsaw and the flick knives.
It's not worth the win. Not worth the
No,
win.
no. Oh, right. I'm going to have
Uh,
to love you and leave you, I'm afraid, Sam.
okay, mate, let's just see what that was and then we'll say goodbye. 28%. We were in the minority of that by a massive margin. People think they
That's
could
a,
take on 100 honey badgers. That's
they
insane.
don't, they've heard the word honey. They've not thought it through.
No, no, they haven't. All right, mate. Thanks for coming on. It's been fun.
Absolute pleasure. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, mate. You too. You're end of your day now, aren't you?
Yeah, it was 6:30. So yeah, evening now, dinner time now.
Oh, evening now. Okay. All right, mate.
Catch you later.
This
And
this will be up tomorrow, so
oh,
I'll let you
fab.
know.
I look
All right.
forward to watching this back. Uh,
All right. Cheers, man. I'll see you next time.
enjoy Zombeaver. Catch you later.
I will.
Bye.
Cheers.